Dan and Sam are joining me again on this episode to talk through Palmyra and all the things and updates that the team have been doing. I know there's been a lot of activity. I'm pretty excited to learn about everything that's going on at the moment, but the guys will take us through it all. But gentlemen, welcome back to the podcast.
Thanks for having us back.
Yeah, thanks, Pete. Good to be back on the show.
So Dan, I first off, I know you've been doing a lot of presentations from the summit. I've seen you on stage and talking in Dubai and all that, and then you did a lot of traveling recently as well. Can you give us an update about what you guys have been up to?
Yeah, so a lot has happened actually in the past month. I was away for actually 3 weeks. I did, a little over 3 weeks. I was in Turkey for 2.5 weeks, and at the Cardano Summit before that for 5 days. So the summit itself was 2 days, but I was in Dubai for 5. Well, first of all, obviously the summit, there was a great event. Got to see a lot of our Cardano community there, which is always great to have the opportunity to do. Also met some new Cardano community people, as well as got a chance to introduce some of my Turkish associates to the Cardano community, who were really blown away by the amount of activity, the amount of projects being built, just the action and the energy that was really just kind of almost mind-boggling to them, because they're so used to the EVM ecosystem. And I guess the energy there is a bit different, because they were just really excited to say, man, we need to let the EVM people know about this, because apparently they just not all, they don't really know as much as we think they do. So that was really exciting. I did a master's class on real world asset tokenization, and in connection with rolling out mass adoption, or solutions for mass adoption, which is something that myself, Sam, and Zengate have been just really going full throttle on, especially as of lately. This has just been a narrative we've been really kind of sticking to, because we believe that, the industry needs this push. We need the push to get into mass adoption, into mainstream solutions, and just kind of evolve if we are to survive as this global movement that we believe that we are. So that was really great. My next stop was Turkey, Istanbul, where I was. I came there for the Dev Connect conference, or conferences. There were actually several events around the main event, which were really cool. Really got to get a better understanding of the EVM ecosystem, or ecosystems, which is also, it's very important for us to understand that, not to be just super kind of tribalistic about it, because there are a lot of really good builders out there. And, I still don't think that is the best technology by far. I am EUTXO all the way. But you can't discount the real building that happens there. There's a lot of noise, but there's also a lot of really good building that we should really kind of, obviously take notice of, and understand what is good there, and maybe try to bring it over to our ecosystem so that we can build better. That was an exciting event. Now, aside from the crypto stuff, or from the crypto events and from the blockchain events, there was quite a bit of business that was done there. First of all, we signed with a it's a highly reputable blockchain firm in Istanbul called CoinOxus. And CoinOxus is now our ambassador. So they're the Zengate ambassador in Turkey. And what that means is they're going to be handling pretty much all of our strategic execution, our liaisoning over there with the ecosystem, with the regulators, with all the participants that we want to bring into our ecosystem. So they're the people on the ground they're basically helping us run the show over there.
Does that mean bringing in other crypto companies or companies looking to use your platform for real world asset tokenization?
Both actually.
Right.
And I got the opportunity to meet several people that were within their network that were actually already tokenizing some things in Turkey. Some things like grains and other agricultural commodities that already had working projects that were very interested in working with us, and we most likely will be working with them. Also met with the regulators and people that guide the regulators, so educators that guide the regulators, because a lot of times in these ecosystems, the regulators will listen to the accredited educators, right? So somebody who's a specialist, that say as a researcher that works at the university, is going to be an advisor to a government agency or a government ministry or a ministry. And so those are also people that are really important to connect with, because those are the guys that the ministry goes to and say, okay, I don't really understand this. You do. Are these guys full of it or not? Or what does this mean, or what does that mean? Which is what you have to do when you have such a broad bandwidth that you're running on. Aside from that, we also connected with a network of buyers over there, and so we're also working right now on bringing on more volume onto the platform, which is also super exciting, because Turkey is. It's a very interesting market. So of course it's a consumer market. So they do drink a lot of tea. They consume a lot of commodities, and so of course the import market is really, really interesting to get into. But also Turkey is I guess you could say a proxy market for a lot of other countries in the Middle East and in Europe. So a lot of commodities that come in through Turkey go out to, say, other countries, and say, for example, Dubai. Dubai has a lot of Turkish goods that come in to the country. Countries like Russia, countries like France, Germany, the UK, they all benefit from trade that's done through Turkey. It was also very beneficial to connect with those parties, because those are kind of like the movers and shakers. Those are the guys that really are going to be utilizing the platform, like literally directly. That's our user base right there.
Gotcha.
And it was really, really cool to connect with them. So just a lot of stuff. I
was trying to work out why Turkey. How's that connection come in? Like, you're off in Sri Lanka at the moment and building up your markets there, and the suppliers are using the platform, and you've got a supply on the website. But I couldn't work out why Turkey until that explanation. So that's absolutely amazing that you've made those various connections from the buyers, the advisors in the ecosystem there to try and get it to the right people, which is absolutely amazing. So that's a big tick for you guys. I think that was a very fruitful journey and trip over there. Yeah,
absolutely.
So how are they using the platform? Well, would they just be using the platform to buy directly from the suppliers in Sri Lanka? Are they going to use it to on-sell things as well? I'm just trying to get an idea of how their involvement is on the platform.
Yeah, and maybe I'll answer that as well, just because Dan's been quite busy talking at the start and just giving everyone a lot of information. So, there's a few different use cases. So like Dan was saying, I think Turkey is one of the top 5 importers of Sri Lankan tea in the world. So there's a few really big ones, like Iraq, Russia, the Middle East, such as the UAE, that are really big importers of Ceylon tea. And Turkey's up there as well. I think they're top 5. And they have been for quite a while. They import lots of teas from other markets as well. So there's a clear use case around Turkish buyers trying to source tea directly. So like with a lot of other, I guess you could call Ceylon tea a very specialized commodity. The government regulates it because the product is so authentic and high quality that they're always quite concerned about people counterfeiting and having fraud and whatnot. So these buyers, they just want they want a system they can trust, whether that's through traceability technology or direct sourcing opportunities. This is something that they really care about, and being able to get something at a good price as well. So we offer that solution. And the cool thing about Turkey that Dan was talking about is they have a lot of their own customers in other markets. So importing tea directly to Turkey can be quite expensive from a tariff and tax point of view. So they act as a broker to a lot of different markets in Africa, in the Middle East, and sort of that Caucasus region as well, which is really awesome, which means the people that get to ultimately taste the teas of the producers that we're working with are not just in Turkey, they're not just in the North American region, but all over the world. So like that brings a lot of excitement to me personally, just because I get to know this stuff is really good quality product, and people from around the world will get to taste it. So that's that. And then the other bit that people might not know is Turkey is a really big primary producer of commodities. They have about 60 commodity exchanges, on the ground. And they probably have one of the best, I guess, legal systems around property rights of commodities, and some of the best infrastructure out there as well in terms of having exchanges. There have been some attempts at creating localized exchanges in markets near Turkey, especially some of the ex-Soviet states, that haven't actually gone particularly well. But Turkey is basically ripe for disruption from a technology stack point of view. There's a lot of really good laws, really good existing solutions. And they're ready to basically take that next step in terms of what tokenization can do, whether that's from a financing point of view, a market access point of view, or even just things like traceability and whatnot. So it's a really it's an under-tapped market. It's a really big market as well. So it provides a different flavor in terms of what we're trying to achieve in terms of Palmyra. So we're very excited, and Dan's been spending a lot of time. We've got really good contacts over there now as a result.
That's amazing. It's I had no idea. So having some insights into the market and so many opportunities, and you're right. The having that traceability, authentic access to good supply and direct supply as well. So I'm assuming they're cutting out middlemen and making more profit off this as well. So lots of opportunities there for using the platform and optimizing their processes. I'm also assuming that not everything in their processes there are fully digital, or are they going through like more of a digital transformation for this kind of stuff for their commodity exchanges?
Yeah, so it's kind of a mixed bag, right? So some things are actually pretty digitized, pretty well managed, and pretty well run. And then there are things that are not. Like for example, a lot of the brokers, they still do business with emails, phone calls, and handshakes. And a lot of that is actually cultural as well. Because, for example, in Turkey, the average businessman prefers a face-to-face meeting, a handshake, versus this kind of like a touchless transaction, right? So how do you accommodate that while still utilizing a platform like ours, which is basically a platform where you shouldn't need to have the handshake, right? For the buyer and the seller to do a transaction efficiently, safely, and easily, essentially. So just like in Turkey, as well as other jurisdictions, we are also deploying teams of what do we call them? I call them liaisons, but we have a better name that we're coming up for them right now, right? It's success managers. What are they?
I think we might have to go to Twitter to get some feedback from
the
community on what we should name them.
All right.
Yeah. Essentially, these are also partners on the ground that go to the buyer, right? Or they go to the producer. And they work with them to onboard them onto the platform. So you don't just kind of like throw it at them and say, create an account, just do it yourself, or do it on the phone. No, you accommodate the cultural paradigm, and you go there, you go to their office, you send somebody to their office that knows the platform, that knows how to operate the platform, that works for you and with you. And you have them sit with them and make sure that these people understand how the platform is used. Not hold their hand and do things for them, but educate, right? Educate them on how to use the platform, show them how to utilize it to the best of their, to the most optimal way for their particular use case. And then at some point, set them free, and let them do it themselves. And since the barrier of entry is really low on Palmyra, we made sure of that with the UX of Palmyra, it's not a huge undertaking. It's a lot of it is very much like, oh wow, okay, I know what that is. That's blah blah blah. It's like yeah, that's exactly it. But it can actually do a little bit more if you go here and here. So it's almost like it's familiar to them already. But there's this extra step that says, oh, yeah, but you know how you can do this, but you couldn't do this. Now you can do this, too. And so it's almost like, it's not like, oh, my God, I have to deal with this stuff. I have to deal with that stuff. It's more like you always see this sign of relief on their faces. This is great. So I can do it here and here, and I don't have to go to all these different places to do it. So, yeah, we have we have liaisons. We have partners on the ground. We have partners in Turkey now that we're working with a group that are also importers and exporters themselves. So they are officially out there on the ground, speaking with producers, speaking with brokers, and onboarding them onto the platform. And we also plan to do this in Sri Lanka as well, to have a team of success liaisons, Palmyra liaisons, to go out there and work with producers and help them utilize the platform to its fullest extent, and help onboard new producers and just kind of keep the ball rolling.
I guess if they're not using the platform or changing their processes, you'd have to adopt or adapt to how they work and how their systems operate at the moment as well. How adaptable is the platform to different markets, different users, different platforms, or back end, whatever it is? Because like you're tackling Sri Lanka initially, and now you're going over to Turkey. I'm assuming you're going to hit many, many more countries soon. Like, how adaptable is the platform to how businesses and people operate around the world?
I mean, you can take that, Sam, and then I can throw some things in there as well.
Yeah, I think there's a few things to consider. Like the first is, I guess the first is the actual like user experience of like how people and businesses use the platform, like uploading photos and listing their products. In some cases, it's quite funny, right? Because like Pete, like you and I are both from Australia, quite a digitally savvy country. Like switching systems would be quite complicated. Like people would already be using a CRM. They've got the inventory, software that they're using. They've got like a payment software. Okay, I've got to switch from Stripe to this thing, but what happens to my bank account? Like that stuff is actually quite complicated. But yeah, the funny thing is when you're dealing with markets that use email and in many cases don't have a website for their own products, it's surprisingly easier to actually get them excited and bought into this shift and this transformation. So, well, firstly, that's something just to point out, which might not actually be so obvious for everyone, because maybe many of our listeners, Pete, of your podcast, come from worlds like this where it's actually quite automated, quite systemized. So that's something to keep in mind. And of course, there's certain things that in the region that we have to take care of, but more importantly, each commodity is slightly different as well. So building a stack that it's modular was very important from the start. So we'd be able to, navigate as we call in the company, the nuances of the market, whether that's the actual commodity market itself or the region. The other stuff that gets really obvious really quickly that is different are things around like payment providers. In some countries, you can't actually get funds into the country with existing payment providers. So you have to figure out ways around that. You have to figure out ways around compliance from a regulatory point of view. So in order to actually export certain things, you have to hit certain milestones and requirements. Same goes for importing as well. Like certain documents need to be procured and printed out. So we try to do that in a way that is quite manageable and automated. And ultimately, what this looks like is that we have two versions of the platform, that can be accessed, under the one roof. The first is a light version, which perhaps is less market focused, but it's it's more like a plug and play solution where anyone can really come on and interact with the platform. And we'll also have a much more sort of full suite involved solution where, we're on the ground, we know the market extremely well, and we sort of try, cover everything that you can possibly think of. The edge cases are, dealt with. And, we just have to manage the two as we grow and scale. And we'll find out, I think, over time. But there are lots of learning sort of pain points and headaches along the way around compliance and sort of regulatory stuff that we've been navigating. But the good thing is all of this is just, it's written down somewhere. So you just have to look it up and figure it out, make a few phone calls and make sure it's in the system afterwards as a result. So
gotcha.
That's our approach. It's but the main bit is it has to be modular, it has to be tailored, but also have a few different systems up your sleeve so people can basically self-select which option they want to use.
Sam said it a few times. We knew that's what it was going to take to be able to be as compatible as possible to various different types of ecosystems and various different scenarios. And that's what we did. And we understand it's not a cookie cutter solution by any means. There is going to have to be some tweaking involved in every single jurisdiction. One of the reasons why we always conduct workshops before we actually onboard a jurisdiction completely, to understand those nuances and to accommodate those nuances. Also, another extra boost to make sure that the jurisdiction is properly accommodated are value-add services, which is something we're also building out. Things like, for example, crowd forward freight, things like tools where you basically can put together several shipments from smaller producers that will allow them to save money on shipping because altogether, they can say buy a container instead of having to send smaller amounts, which cost more. A communication module between the producers to be able to coordinate shipments, crop reports and stock reports, again on chain, available for various types of consumption. So yeah, it's really kind of it's not bespoke, right? Most, like 99% of the time, it's not bespoke, but it's just a matter of kind of taking all the pieces that we have, all the different pieces of Palmyra, and saying, okay, in this jurisdiction, it's like this, right? In this jurisdiction, it's like this. And just create this modular solution that accommodates nuances. That is it's very important to do. This is what separates us from your average, marketplace, if you want to call it that. Even with spot trading that we have right now, it still separates us from that average marketplace because we accommodate the commodity trade versus just listing and selling stuff, just whatever stuff, just list it and sell it. So it's a very interesting thing to do as well. You get to learn a lot about the different commodities. You understand the people that are utilizing the platform a lot better, and that just makes for a better product.
That's really cool. It's always good to get an explanation about that kind of stuff so you have a better understanding of how it all works. Now, I've got another question. This is completely off topic and off the original plan, but I'm trying to understand how the blockchain aspects work on the platform. What parts get tokenized? Is there a digital identity involved from the suppliers as well, so we know what was produced by who and by where? How's the traceability sides of it work? Are the tokens NFTs for each batch that gets sold out? And how does all those aspects work. I have a vague idea. I'm just guessing and assuming, but I'd love to get an explanation of how the mechanics work in regards to the blockchain side of things and the platform.
Yeah, I can jump in to that. I was hoping you'd actually ask a question because, for those that don't know and for those that do know, we were very lucky in Fund 10. We got funded a Catalyst proposal around minimum ecosystem governance and building, and we've actually been spending a lot of time thinking through some of these solutions in more detail than we initially had. And one of the exercises that we've been working on with our experts and one of our advisors, Daryl O'Donnell from Continuum Loop, he did a lot of work with input-output for a number of years in the DIDs and verifiable credential space. And it's become very clear that you have all these technologies available out there, whether that's blockchain technology or AI that's happening, or machine learning on crop reports to understand yields and use of pesticides, or ESG tracking or carbon. There's so much stuff happening in the ag tech, like prime producer technology space. Like there's too much stuff, really. We think blockchain is one of the key bits. But what has become very obvious very quickly is that when you're going into these unstructured markets, like the key goal is like put some structure to it first. And as one of the outputs of the exercises, especially in the specialty tea space that we've been working quite closely in, we've noticed that there's this lack of standardization around quality. Like there's a lack of understanding from the buyers and producers' point of view around building trust around quality assumptions, around where it's from. And off the back of that, we've brought in someone that's worked quite closely with United Nations and World Trade Organization type development institutions, and she's developed this system to grade these teas. It's become very obvious that you need something like that, which is completely unrelated to blockchain, to build trust in the ecosystem. And what that system allows is you build trust, you understand, okay, this is tea from Sri Lanka, it's this type, and it is graded this way. And it's graded this way because it tastes a certain way, it looks a certain way, it smells a certain way. And similar to the way you might, grade wines or whiskeys, like there's systems out there, but what we need to do is create a unified standard. And once that is able to be done, everything sort of plays itself out. Like, okay, someone's grading this stuff, you need a DID. Okay. Once you have a DID, you grade it. What happens to the stuff that's been graded? Okay. So all the stuff around blockchain slowly starts to take shape. So now all of a sudden, you've got a very small ecosystem of small actors. You have someone that makes the tea, someone that buys the tea, and someone that grades the tea. And then you also have a regulator that might connect it all together as well. And blockchain really comes in to use here. You have verifiable credentials, you have DIDs, you have the traceability aspect where you can track where it's from and also embed the certifications from the grading and the regulators along the way as well. And then the final bit that really brings it all together is you can tokenize the asset and tokenize the commodity. And commodities are not just like all the same all the time. They come in, harvested in different batches. They're mined in different batches. They're produced in different batches. So you need a way to actually show, that slight distinctions in terms of the quality itself. So using NFTs and the non-fungible technologies available, on Cardano and Ergo allows you to sort of really capture the essence of that. So you have an NFT, and then you've got all this embedded information around certifications, the DIDs, the traceability attached to it. And that is where the beauty lies. And off the back of that, you can borrow money against it and get some form of financing. You can sell it, you can trade it, you can use it as well, ultimately, right? Because many of these, commodities are consumed, whether that's, consumed, eaten or in cases of tea, consumed and sort of brewed. Or in some cases, they're one part of many parts along a manufacturing line. So this stuff is it's incredible, like the actual life cycle of it all. But we've had to really strip away the technology itself before we could even apply everything. So the scope of the use of digital assets and blockchain is quite enormous. it's really important to understand like why you're actually using it in the first place. And the summary of that is there's a lack of trust, there's a lack of access, whether that's the markets or to finance or risk, or ways to hedge risk. And it's needed. It's quite amazing. Like, we didn't actually know going in that it was this complex, or this, the requirement was there in this level of detail. But it's quite satisfying knowing that this is the way forward. So we've been quite busy with that. That's on our sort of list of things we have to build out, because the verifiable credentials and the DIDs piece, and that's all possible through oracles as well. And that's something Dan's been talking about probably from the very start, for those that have been listening, over the last 2 years, basically. So, all of these pieces are slowly starting to come together. And it's quite crazy because a lot of the tools have been available in like Cardano and the Ergo ecosystem for a while. Like, people have been thinking about oracles, they've built oracles, and now it's like starting to come together. It's like, oh, okay, you're not just tracking the US dollar price of ADA or the US dollar price of World Mobile Token or the AGIX token. It's like, no. Like, oracles are being used for DIDs. Oracles are being used for credentials and for, bringing the Web 2.5 certifications on chain. Like all this stuff is being done digitally anyway in most parts of the world, but now it's on chain. So you can do all these extra things with it. So it's quite incredible when you think about the solution as a whole, as opposed to just trying to tackle a very narrow thing. You lose track of how it all connects together, but it does connect together. There's a full use around all of these things together. So that's how blockchain fits into what we're doing. Like, it's the only way. Like, we can't do it without blockchain.
Okay. Thank you for that explanation. There was quite a lot there. I think we can probably do a whole episode breaking down how the entire blockchain gets incorporated into your commodity markets, and the different aspects that we all take advantage of. And like you said, all the bits of technology that are slowly coming together. I think we could sit here and talk for hours about this and go into the finer details and see what you guys have got essentially planned out to build over the next few years. And that kind of leads me on to my next question. What is on the cards for the next month and the next year?
So, again, a lot. So in 2 days, and I guess for Sam it's less than 2 days, we are heading back to Sri Lanka. So this is, first of all, to continue work with producers on the ground and the regulators on the ground, and also to host a workshop with Joyce, our tea specialist, and to also continue the work that was part of the minimum viable ecosystem proposal that we submitted for Fund 10. So this is going to be execution of a lot of points that need to be executed upon in that proposal. We're also talking about and we're talking to other commodity producers other than tea, and we're going to be bringing on and onboarding other commodities out of Sri Lanka very shortly. So that's also the point of that trip. One more exciting piece of news is that the Palm IDO is going to start pretty soon. I believe the Palm IDO starts on I'm sorry, not the IDO, the ISPO. Scratch that. The Palm ISPO starts on December 11th. So we're also really excited about that, and looking forward to that. And just a lot of things to kind of wrap up before the year is over. And even though we're getting close to halfway through December, we still got quite a bit ahead of us. What did I miss, Sam?
Well, I think going into next year, there's going to be quite a fair bit of consolidation that happens from a product point of view. The core product gets stabilized. We start building a lot of the interesting design and architecture around it, around the trading platform, the embedded financing platform. There's been a fair bit of thinking around that already, but we get to have our fun next year designing these things in more detail. So that's what's happening. There's going to be consolidation as well on which geographies we focus on. So there'll be announcements that come out around MOUs. We've already heard about Turkey. There's a few other regions as well where we're just going to dig deep into. These are big primary producer markets, and there's a lot of business activity there and businesses that we can onboard onto Cardano. So that's a real big focus for us. And then also as a company, we're a growing company. We'll be hiring a lot of new faces and new staff, new specialists. I'm excited to see the team grow basically as well. And we should see a lot more development sort of exponentially being released as well. So those are some of the big things I'm excited about. There's a lot of travel as well in the midst of all of that. So Dan's already got a few big, trips planned out, going back to Turkey, Sri Lanka. I've got some big events in the US as well. I'm going back to Australia 3 times next year. I've got some contacts at the Department of Agriculture I'll be meeting early next year. I've got a conference in Perth I'm presenting at in the ag technology space, and then I'll be back again in October as well. So there's just so much business to be done. There's so many people to speak to, and we're truly excited. And very excited to see how the team grows and the project grows and the community grows as well. And it's going to be a big year. So lots to do in December, but even bigger year next year for us.
Definitely sounds like a big year for you guys. And Dan, you also mentioned the ISPO, and I had no idea that there was an ISPO happening either. Are there any details around that? So I'm assuming there would be, considering it's 6 days from this recording.
Yeah, of course. So for details about the Palm ISPO, you can go to the Palm token account on Twitter. So they have pretty much all the information, everything that's happening, all the news, the roadmap, and everything like that has to do with the Palm token. The ISPO, yes, it starts on the 11th of December. And so there's going to be 2 pools that are going to be running the ISPO. So there's going to be a 99% pool and a 50% or 50% pool, or which is 50-50. Both of those are going to be, so you can't see them right now. As I understand, you can't see them in the Pool Explorer just yet. They will be available, and they will show up when during the epoch that starts on the 11th of December. I'm sorry. Yeah, all the dates are just screwed up in my head now.
You got to stop traveling.
That's very exciting, and definitely watch out for that. Go to the Palm token account to get all the latest information, and follow that account. And there's quite a pretty constant updates going on there. So it's really exciting. Really, we're really stoked to see this happening.
I'll put links to it in the show notes down below so people can find out a little bit more about it. And I think I'll do some digging myself because this is the first I've heard of it too. So I'll dig into it and find out exactly what the details are, how much the delegation is, and what you can get out of it for delegating. So super interesting, guys. I'm looking forward to it. Now, is there anything else that you guys need to let the community know about that you guys are up to?
I kind of like to reiterate this every time we speak to somebody, because this has been there's been a bit of drama going around the community about who's with us, who's not with us, tribalism versus constructive criticism, the real peeps versus the fakers and all this. And, all I can say about that is Zengate, myself, Sam, and everybody on our team are here because of the community. That's why we're here. We're here because of this community. We love the Cardano community. We love the Ergo community, and this what is really kind of this is what inspires us to keep building here more than anything else. Yes, we love the tech. Yes, we do. Yes, we're Cardano people. Yes, we're Ergo people tech wise, but it's really, we always come back to the fact that this community is like no other. And this is why we're here, and we will stay here. We're not going anywhere. We're going to keep building here, and we are proud to say that.
I can't wait to be drinking some tea, I think, by the time this episode gets uploaded, and I'll be taking lots of photos for everyone. One of the things I really love about what I get to work on is I get to learn about so many new things every single day. I used to think that, I wanted a career, where I wouldn't get bored of my job, and it's truly the case. And I love being able to share all this stuff with the community and give a glimpse of the awesome work that some of these producers are doing, day to day. So I'll be taking lots of photos for everyone. And just sharing some of the craft and the artisanal products and the hard work that these people put into their lives. So forever grateful of the community and the support that we get. So very excited about what's to come and what I can share with everyone as well.
All right, I'll be watching from afar and being very jealous of your trips and journey through Sri Lanka. But guys, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast and giving me an update of Palmyra and everything that you guys have been up to.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Pete.
Yeah, gotta do it like that. You've been listening to the Learn Cardano podcast. Gotta get it hype. Crypto is what we like, but this is not investment or financial advice. Gotta do your research, cause it's risky. We know it is. This show is educational and it's informative. Crypto's the future, really, it ain't no debate.